Hey, there we go.
Welcome to episode 80 of Just One More Topic. I am Tridragius.
And I'm Rar Bagels.
And what we're going to be talking about today is the wonderful year-end review of 2014.
2014.
I thought you were going somewhere else with that because of the dramatic pause.
No, just
2014.
2014.
Maybe
2000 to 14.
I thought maybe it was like it could have been like a Ryan Seacrest moment. You're just and welcome.
Pickle 2! No.
No. So, we're going to talk about our favorite game, or best game of the year, our most surprising game of the year, and our most disappointing game or thing of the year.
What about most anticipated of 2015?
Why wasn't this brought up during scripting?
I don't know. We don't script? Is that why?
That
no
could
script is
probably be... Oh, at the end, we will also feature a most anticipated of 2015. We'll get that out of the way. So, what would you say is your best game? Your favorite game of 2014?
Favorite game of 2014, I'm going to go with Dragon Age Inquisition.
Fantastic!
Ended here recently, came out more recently here at the end of the year. And fantastic job. BioWare comes through again. They've had their hiccups. They've had issues with endings and second games in particular series.
Yes. Not every series, but
just one series really had an issue with a number 2.
One series that has it has dragon in the name.
It was definitely a number 2.
It was like it has dragon in the name, and it has age in the name, and it has a 2. I'm not going to point
It wasn't in 2014, so.
Yeah, so anyway.
Dragon Age Inquisition, fantastic game, great story, great gameplay, fun, good graphics. I think everything about it is great. Just that quality we all expect from BioWare.
And they finally delivered. They took the extra time and made a kick-ass game.
Yep.
Just don't go backwards from this.
Yep.
Just don't.
Especially in a year littered with major titles with flaws, Dragon Age Inquisition can really stand out in my mind.
Yep. So, and it's funny that you mentioned Dragon Age Inquisition because my best game, my favorite game of 2014 is Dragon Age Inquisition. Oh my god!
Shocker.
Yeah, it's just, there we go. Shocked. So, but the thing is, just kind of mimicking what he said, it was a great game. Graphically, it was impressive. Audio was great. The soundtrack was fantastic. My only complaint was the fact that everyone kind of sounded like they were in a giant cathedral, no matter where they were at, but that's nitpicky. I haven't tried really any of the online stuff, so I don't really know how that goes, but they knocked it out of the park with this one. Completely made up for that name game that we will not mention again.
Yes.
So,
ignored.
Completely ignored. It's blocked. So, what would you say is your most surprising game of 2014?
My most surprising game of 2014 has to be South Park: The Stick of Truth. Talk about low expectations going in.
Yep.
Expectations for a South Park game, 0.
Yep.
You expect some humor. You expect some humor that you expect from South Park. But other than that, you didn't expect anything in gameplay. You didn't expect anything in the story. But the game was very clever, well designed, well laid out, had a lot of fun. You could spend a little bit of time in it. You could spend a lot of time in it. I really think it hit on all those key elements there. There's nothing really that bothered me about the quality. The only thing that could really bother you about the game, in my opinion, is the humor. If you are easily offended, obviously, don't even mess with anything South Park related.
Yeah, it's a fucking South Park game. What did you expect?
I mean, when you're talking about Nazi zombie babies, you're kind of getting into a strange area. But they pulled it all off, and I'm fantastically surprised. And I want another one just like it. And
it gave Morgan Freeman another freckle. So, you can't really go wrong with that. You really can't. His face is just so many narrations. And of course, I'm covering my face while I'm talking, so this is probably getting a little muffled. But the sentiment's there. So, South Park: The Stick of Truth, your most surprising game of the year. As far as me, I was fully surprised by a little game that came out back in August for the PlayStation Network. PT. Oh my God. It wasn't even announced. It wasn't talked about. It was just, here it is. And absolutely no expectations going into it. None whatsoever. And I was fully blown away by the fact that months later, it's still being talked about. People still want to play it. I don't know why. I mean, after a couple times, it's not as scary. But that first time through, when you don't know what you're doing, and it's just completely brand new, and then all of a sudden, Lisa just walks up behind you, just snaps your neck. Crazy.
Especially with the horror genre taking the huge upturn it has in the last couple of years. Even Aliens getting a boost.
Yeah.
From the horror genre.
It took like 30 years, but there was a good Alien game.
Colonial Marines, a little bit.
Oh,
I'm not giving it a pass in any way, shape, or form, because that was
Alien.
Wow.
However,
Isolation, unrelated title.
Yeah.
Good game.
Good game. Sega's really wanting to move past what happened with Colonial Marine. So the great thing with what happened with Isolation, great, fantastic. So those were our most surprising games, PT and South Park: The Stick of Truth. But kind of on the whole Colonial Marines award, most disappointing game.
Most disappointing game, or I think I'm going to go with most disappointing element of 2014 was the lack of story.
Yes.
A lot of games seem to just abandon it. Bungie, that gave us all the great, Halo stuff. I don't know if you heard about it. They put some story.
There was
about a guy named Master Chief.
Who's that?
Chief Master.
Does he cook? Is that Master?
No, actually, he kills aliens. And then they were like, "Hey, let's do that thing again, but let's just not do any story, like at all. Let's just have him kind of like go to planets and shoot aliens, and then be like, awesome, that's it. That's a story, right? Yeah, totally story."
As I've said multiple times, Pong has more story than Destiny does.
Also, Titanfall, you forget that you're playing literally the multiplayer more.
And that's it.
And that's the campaign, quote unquote campaign. Even though they set themselves up, the tutorial felt like it could have a great campaign attached to it, but they just didn't put one in there. They just felt like it wasn't necessary. And I think this is a major flaw between things like that, people kind of taking the story out of their games, and people just kind of re-releasing games and stuff like that, kind of re-experiencing the same stuff over again. A couple people varied away from that. Telltale came out with a lot of good stuff this year.
Walking Dead,
just story stuff.
Still kicking.
Basically just story, point and click adventures. The Wolf Among Us.
Picking up Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Also, Borderlands, the pre-sequel. Good job.
Good job.
Good job. Good job. Good job. Now, as far as my most disappointing, kind of in the same vein, just the whole, like we talked about with the previous episode, the release now, fix later mentality of what 2014 was just plagued with. So many games releasing and not being finished. Now, some of them are, functioning, fully operational, like Drive Club for the PlayStation 4, good. Halo, it's almost, I think, as of right now, it's there. Assassin's Creed Unity. But anyway,
maybe at some point.
2015. Yeah, that for me, my most disappointing. I can't really look at just a single game, kind of like what you did. Like Destiny, Titanfall, those two games have stellar talent behind them. Stellar talent and so much money behind them. But there was really nothing there. It was multiplayer. It was just multiplayer. And I can understand right now, yes, that's kind of where everything's kind of focusing at. But the fact is, I still want a single-player component. I still want character development. I still want story, and that's why Dragon Age Inquisition was my favorite game of 2014.
Yes.
So it just kind of goes without saying. For me, I want there to be meat in this game.
So how about 2015?
For me, 2015, there is a lot of good. Our audience is highly recommending Evolve. It's going to be a very difficult choice because there are so many games that are coming out for 2015 or potentially for 2015. I'm honestly excited for Uncharted 4. Like that's probably going to be my most. That's probably going to be my most anticipated. But there is something that you mentioned that I had forgotten about.
I brought up Star Wars Battlefront is expected to release late 2015. It's also expected to have tie-ins.
And now we're done.
To
just trying to take a page.
Star Wars Battlefront Black.
Yeah,
It's supposed to have tie-ins to Episode 7. Is the thought too? They got DICE back, original minds behind Battlefront. EA's money is obviously being thrown at it, so there's money there and there's talent there,
and a potential partnership with Disney to not only release a highly anticipated game, but a highly anticipated new episode.
Yep. So there's a lot of anticipation connected to the game, and that's definitely why it's what I'm looking forward to most in 2015.
So, we've gone far past where I was kind of anticipating this episode to be, but 2014, there were good moments, but there were plenty of bad moments. I'm looking forward to 2015. There are so many games that are being hyped up for next year. There's also the potential of Halo 5 if they don't make it Call of Duty. So there's that. But post your comments. Let us know what your favorite things are of 2014. Let us know what you're anticipating for 2015. And we'll be back next week with another episode, and we might even mention some of these.
Next week and next year.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. Next year. 2015. I am Tridragius.
And I'm Rarbagels.
And this was episode 80 of Just One More Topic.
Goodbye.